What is a credit purchase? A credit purchase is when you buy goods but you don't pay immediately. You receive goods and you now owe the seller. That seller becomes your creditor. No cash is involved in a credit purchase. Most students lose marks on this one question: bought or purchase goods on credit. They either write the wrong account or worse, they add cash when it's not even there. But today, I will show you a simple trick to solve any credit purchase question and never lose marks again. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are a student or a business owner learning accounting, this lesson is super important. Today we are going to focus on journal entries for credit purchases with easy explanations, real exam questions, step-by-step solutions, and memory tricks to help you pass. Now let's get started. So we'll start with a simple story. Let's make this very simple. So imagine this: you go to a shop and take goods worth $1,000, but you don't pay immediately. That means you received goods, you now owe the seller. That seller becomes your creditor. The creditor meaning the person you owe. So the key thing that you need to understand is no cash is involved in a credit purchase. This is where many students make mistakes in exam. Let's look at the next section: identifying the accounts. So now let's break it down step by step with example question. So you bought goods on credit from John, $1,000. So step 1, you need to identify the account involved. So in this our example question, the two accounts involved is purchases and John. John is the supplier you bought the goods from on credit. So we have identified the two accounts involved as purchases and John. So purchases, you bought the goods, John the supplier. Step 2, then you classify the accounts. So in this our example question, in classifying the account, purchases and John. So purchases is nominal accounts, John is personal accounts. So I have created a video on basic journal entries for beginners to have a better understanding of how classifying accounts works. So click on the link in the comment section to take you to the channel. So let's look at the next section. The next section is applying the rules. So now in applying the golden rules, the nominal account is the purchases. In nominal account, we debit all expenses. The personal account, which is John the supplier, in the personal account we credit the giver. This is the golden rules. So why is John the giver? John is the giver because he gave you goods without immediate payment. So let's move to the next session, which is the final journal entry on our example question. So with this is the journal entry format. So we start with a date. You enter the date that the goods was purchased. In our example, we say the date is February 1, 2026. The particulars, which is the description, and we have the debit column and the credit column. So in the description, we said purchases, the two accounts involved is purchases and John. So purchases, we have bought goods, we have received the goods, is a debit entry of $1,000, and John, which is the supplier who is giving out, is a credit entry, and that is $1,000. So in journal entries, we always add the narration. So the narration for this example question is being goods bought on credit. So being goods bought on credit from John. So this exam, so an exam tip that you need to take note here is always write to before the credited accounts. So always write to before the credited, like how we have to John account, we credit it $1,000. So let's move to the next section of the common exam mistake that most students usually make. So this is where students lose mark. So here we are saying that purchases account is debit, and most students, rather, instead of crediting the supplier account involved, since this is a credit purchase, they rather credit cash. This is wrong because it is a credit transaction. It is a credit transaction, no cash is involved, so no cash entry. So always remember this golden rule: if it's credit, forget cash. If it's credit, forget cash. So let's move to the next session. We'll look at more exam questions. Let's practice this together. So question 1, or example 1, let's look at the question says bought goods on credit from Mary $500. So the first thing, we need to identify the account involved, which is a step 1. So in this exam question, we see that the two accounts involved is purchases and the supplier Mary. So we debit purchases $500, and we credit Mary, who is the supplier we have bought the goods from, $500. So if we look at the journal entry, the format, we have said that we indicated the date. You always have to indicate a date. So the date we have placed 1st February as a date. The particular section, we have purchases, and the corresponding is Mary. So Mary is the supplier. So this is how the journal entry is being captured. This is the format of the journal entry, and we add a narration to it, which is being goods bought on credit from Mary. Always include the narration to the journal entry, so you follow the format in that order. Let's look at example 2. Example 2 says bought furniture on credit from Alex. We bought furniture on credit from Alex. So here the two accounts involved is furniture and Alex. Alex the supplier. So furniture is an asset, so which is a real account, and Alex is a personal account. So step 2, we apply the rules. So furniture is comes in as a debit entry, and Alex is giving out, so it's a credit entry. So this is the journal entry for this example. So we've indicated the date. Furniture is a debit entry. We indicated it here, debit column 800, and we have the credit column, which indicates Alex giving out the furniture on credit 800. And always remember to add your narration, which is being furniture bought on credit from Alex. So let's move to the next section. Before we move to the next section, an exam tip that you need to take note of here is, if it's not goods, don't use purchase account. So this, if it's not goods, don't use purchases account. So take note of that tip. So let's go ahead and move to the next section, which is the memory tricks. So in the memory tricks, here are two powerful tricks that you need to know for your exam. So trick 1, so we credit always equal to the creditor. Credit always relate to the creditor. So you must always credit the person. Another trick that you need to know is expenses or assets comes in as debit. So when it's transaction that relate to expenses or a transaction that is an asset, you have to debit that transaction. Another trick that you need to know is this is super important. So no cash in credit transaction. So if the transaction is on credit, you don't bring in cash or you don't record cash. So let's move to the next section. This section is a quick test. So this section you have to try this yourself. So the question says, bought goods on credit from David, $700. So here I will advise you to pause the video, think of the answer before you continue watching. So let's look at the answer. So the answer for this question is purchases and David. David the supplier. So we debit purchases $700 and we credit David the supplier $700. And we also have the journal entry format also displayed here. We indicated a date, the particulars as purchases and David. The debit column is purchases of 700 and the credit column is to David of 700, indicating the narration as being goods bought on credit from David. So remember to pause the video to solve the question before you continue. So did you get it right? Did you get it right? When you paused and you checked the answer, was it right? Oh, okay, if that is right, then good one. That's a great one. So let's move to the final tip. So the final tip that you need to remember, or the summary of what we have discussed about in this video, is always identify the account first. So when you are given a question relating to journal entries, the first step you need to do is always identify the account first. And another tip that you need to know is daily practice. So you have to be practicing a lot of questions so that you get familiar or you get comfortable with journal entries. And also avoid common mistakes like how we have discussed earlier. Avoid those common mistakes. So thank you very much for watching. So if this made journal entries easier for you, hit the like button and subscribe for more simple accounting lessons. So comment below no cash in credit if you understand this topic. Thank you very much for watching from the beginning to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to do more practice so that you get a better understanding. And I have other videos that on the comment section. Click on the link on the comment section to get access to other videos, related videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now. Bye.